Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode of SpongeBob Now. Today, I will be talking about Face Freeze and Glove World R.I.P. First, I'm going to talk about Face Freeze. Enjoy. In the beginning of the episode, SpongeBob and Patrick are eating lunch at the Krusty Krab. While eating, they start making ugly faces at each other. Mr. Krabs hears them laughing, and thinks it is the sound of his money being flushed down the toilet. He rushes out of his office to see them making faces at each other and tells them to stop. He then tells them a story about a man, Fred, who would not stop sticking his tongue out. One day, after sticking his tongue out for the 444th time, his face got frozen with his tongue out. Then, after it got frozen, it eventually dried up and fell off. SpongeBob and Patrick are terrified of this story and vow never to make faces again. Later that day, SpongeBob and Patrick are seen trying hard not to make faces. However, they start smirking about their attempts at doing this and eventually start laughing so hard their faces start contorting. They then realize that nothing happened to their faces while doing this and that Mr. Krabs was lying. SpongeBob then suggests that they should really put Mr. Krabs' myth to the test and while making a single continuous face. As they go to many places in Bikini Bottom, they scare everyone that sees them. Then at Goo Lagoon, Sandy finds them and says that they need help. Later that night, SpongeBob and Patrick are seen in a tent back outside SpongeBob's house laughing at each other's faces, along with making a lot of noise. Squidward's eardrums eventually burst and he starts yelling at them to keep it down. SpongeBob then suggests to Patrick that they try sleeping through the night while holding a face. Patrick agrees and they start doing this, while giving Squidward some peace and quiet. The next day, SpongeBob and Patrick wake up and realize their faces are frozen and both of them cannot move their faces, causing them to realize Mr. Krabs was right about the story. They start screaming and rush down to Sandy's tree dome for help. Sandy then starts giving them a face massage. However, this just makes their faces even more distorted and they droop down to their chins. SpongeBob goes to work at the Krusty Krab anyway, despite his ridiculous frozen face. At the Krusty Krab, SpongeBob causes a lot of ruckus as he tries to make Krabby Patties and keeps Mr. Krabs from looking at his face at the same time. However, Mr. Krabs eventually finds out about SpongeBob's face freeze problem because Patrick walks into the Krusty Krab with a contorted frozen face. Mr. Krabs confronts SpongeBob on this, as the latter feels guilty and apologizes for doubting his boss's warnings, as an angry Mr. Krabs then makes a face and it freezes, followed by Squidward coming in. SpongeBob tries to warn him, but Squidward sees their misfortune and starts laughing at them. He laughs so hard that his face freezes too, and the episode ends with SpongeBob, Patrick, and Mr. Krabs laughing at Squidward while the latter started crying whilst having frozen faces. They thus have all learned a lesson about making faces, as the episode ends. Next, I'm going to talk about Glove World R.I.P. Enjoy. The episode starts off at SpongeBob's house, where SpongeBob is reading a book in his library. Suddenly, a roller coaster crashes through the wall, arriving from Glove World, causing Gary to run away. The furious riders state that they are glad Glove World is closing down, at which SpongeBob screams, and goes to tell Patrick, who jumps out of his shower naked, and they decide to visit Glove World. For one last time, arriving at Glove World, they meet the Ticket Man, who tells them again that Glove World is closing down for good. And before that, the Ticket Man tells Patrick to use the glove hat, because it makes the perfect pants to wear. When the Ticket Man decides to shut the park down, SpongeBob and Patrick promptly scream again and enter the amusement park after wondering why it is going to be closed down and reciting glove-related poems. They decide to ride the amusement rides one more time to remember the park by. They first enter the teacups, which promptly injures them. They also enter other rides such as the Glove Drop and Pirate Ship, which all injure the riders. Once going on the Ferris wheel, the ride derails and rides like a wheel. SpongeBob and Patrick mostly ignore it, stating that it was fun, although they eventually realize Glove World is closing because of health violations. After realizing the danger of Glove World's rides, SpongeBob and Patrick attempt to rebuild the rides to save the park. Their first attempt is the Hall of Mirrors, where SpongeBob tries to replace the broken mirrors by twisting into the shape of the user. However, this backfires when an ugly fish sees herself and punches SpongeBob thinking he was the mirror, injuring him again. Meanwhile, after the current mascot of Glove World angrily quits, Patrick tries the job but fails due to him stealing a child's ice cream and cutting in line. SpongeBob tries to work on the chairlift but ends up having the ride go too fast. They also attempt to stop a roller coaster's riders from falling into the sand, but they end up doing it anyway. During the time Glove World is destroyed, SpongeBob and Patrick are saddened and decide to defend it by chaining themselves to the entrance. However, they then find out from the Glove World owner that it is closing down to open Glove Universe. Seeing the new amazing park, SpongeBob and Patrick want to go, as SpongeBob asks Patrick where the key is and a confused Patrick asks what he is talking about, before SpongeBob reminds him of the key that he gave him that will free them. Patrick then remembers and says that SpongeBob told him to keep it in a safe place and it is in Glove Lake, where he states nobody will ever find it as he took SpongeBob's words seriously. SpongeBob falls silent, staring ahead with a blank expression on his face, after realizing that Patrick had stupidly trapped them at the Glove World entrance. Because of this, SpongeBob does not answer when he is called out by Patrick, as the episode ends. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos. Goodbye everyone.